Okay, so a disappointing end to the homestand, but I think if you would have told me before the All-Star break that they were going to go 3-3 against the Brewers and the Astros, I would have signed up for it. But if you would have told me they win the first two and then go 3-3, be a little more greedy. I would be a little more greedy. And now I think you got to get greedy against the Los Angeles Angels, who are 49-53. They are coming off a 3-game sweep in terms of they got swept to the Los Angeles Angels, but they've been pretty scrappy. They took 2 of 3 against the Phillies. They took 2 of 3 against the Diamondbacks. They're better than I think people give them credit. And I think Ron Washington deserves a lot of that credit. A lot of that credit, because I don't think it's a great roster. There's some guys who are going to make the Hall of Fame. There's one guy who's going to make the Hall of Fame. And there's some pretty talented young players. But I think Ron Washington's done a really good job of keeping this team together and outplaying expectations. And I was just looking at it by Pythagorean. They've been extremely lucky. They should be 44-58 according to them compared to 49-53. But give credit to the manager. Give credit to Ron Washington. He's done a really nice job. Okay, let's take a look at where they rank in some stats. Let's start with the offense. They're about average. They've scored 447 runs. They are 20, and that is 16th in baseball, by the way. They are 23rd in on-base percentage and 24th in batting average, but what they can do is they can hit the ball over the fence. They have a 413 slugging percentage, which is 8th best in all of baseball. Pitching kind of stinks. Earned run average of 4.67 is 26th. Batting average allowed of 262 is 26th. And a whip, walks, hits, innings pitched of 29th. 1.44. Almost dead last in baseball. Just ahead of probably the Rockies is what I would guess. It's a team that is kind of weird. It's a weird baseball team. And, you know, they lose all 3 of those games to the Mets. One of them will run 1-run game, but there's some good offensive players on this team. There are some guys that I would like the Seattle Mariners to have. Chief among them, and you think I'm going to start with Mike Trout? No. It's Zach Neto. I don't think Zach Neto gets nearly enough credit for how good of a player he is. Nearly enough credit. And, you know, he's struggled a little bit as of late, but he's still a shortstop who has only played 83 games because he got off to a late start. And he has a 273 average. He has a 795 OPS. He has 15 homers. He's stolen 18 bases. He's a dynamic player. Nolan Shanwell, I wish he had more power, but a guy who gets on at a 365 clip, hitting 275, 8 homers, solid baseball player. Taylor Ward, the streakiest gosh dang hitter I think I've ever seen in my entire life, but there's been enough good for him to hit 23 homers. He's driven in 76 runs, 797 OPS. Oh yeah, Mike Trout. Well, you know what? Real quick, Joe Adell, you know, it's not the player I thought he was, but he is a guy who has hit 21 homers. He has a 786 OPS, which in today's day and age is actually pretty darn good. Still not used to it. I've mentioned that many times, but he's been a guy that has shown flashes. And then Mike Trout, who is nowhere near the player that he once was, but that is much more compliment to the MVP contender. Doesn't even begin to describe it. He was a guy who looked like he had a chance to be a Mount Rushmore player. That's no longer the case. But at his decline, it's a guy with an 825 OPS and 18 homers. He can still hit. He can still hit. And, you know, we'll get into the pitching matchup now because I do believe it's Logan Evans against Yusei Kikuchi. I'm going to make sure about that just because, you know, the whole basis of the video is, you know, relying on it. Why did I doubt myself? I don't know why I doubted myself. I looked this up. I do kind of research sometimes. I am worried about Logan Evans. And I know I seem to say I'm worried about Logan Evans every time we do one of these things, but I don't think this is a particularly great matchup for him because these guys are bashers. These guys can hit the ball over the fence. There are a lot of players in this lineup. In fact, let's look at the lineup right now just to take a look at what I'm talking about because there's the guys we were just mentioning, of course, right? The Mike Trouts, the Joe Adells, the Zach Nitos. Those are guys who obviously can put the baseball over the fence, but it ain't just them. Like, and Taylor Ward. But Joe Adell and Yon Moncada has shown good power this year. 8 homers, but it's a very small sample. Travis Darnod is capable of hitting the ball over the fence. No Logan O'Hoppe. That's nice. Perennial Mariner killer Luis Rengifo is in the lineup today. He's had a horrible season, but he seems to like to hit against the Seattle Mariners. But no Jorge Soler, so that's kind of nice as well. But this is a team that can hit homers. This is a team that can put that baseball over the fence, and Logan Evans just doesn't fool hitters enough for me not to worry about it. You know, I never bring this up, and I never probably will again, but the matchup predictor tonight puts the Angels, and this is per ESPN, but the matchup predictor puts the Angels as a 57.5% favorite to win this game. That's not something I expected to see. And some of that has to do with Logan Evans. And then some of it has to do with who's pitching against the Mariners tonight. And that is former Seattle Mariner legend, Yusei Kikuchi, who has a 4-6 record. And that just tells you how stupid that stat is. A 3.13 ERA. He struck out 123 batters in 118 innings against 52 walks. So you guys all remember Kikuchi, right? Like a guy who the Mariners sign and has some good but frustrating seasons with the Seattle Mariners. His first year, he was just bad. And then the second year starts to show some life. And then the third year, you know, a 4.41 ERA. But there were like, boy, what do we do here? What do we do here? Because 163 strikeouts and just seemed to be turning the page. But I wasn't unhappy that the Mariners decided to decline that. Or excuse me, I wasn't unhappy that Kikuchi declined that option. But he's gotten so much better. And, you know, I don't want to credit the Astros too much here, but because he was having a good season with Toronto, not good season. He was showing flashes with Toronto. But ever since he joined the Houston Astros, he's just kind of been a different pitcher. He had a 2.70 ERA over 60 innings with a, what was that K walk ratio? I know it was good. 76-14 strikeout to walk ratio in his 10 starts there. And with the Angels, we just went over the numbers. What does Yusei Kikuchi do well? And where are the areas where Yusei Kikuchi is exploitable? Is that the right term? I think it's a good term. It's pretty simple with Kikuchi. And it's never this simple, because if it was, then everyone would just do it. Don't let the breaking ball beat you. Get to the fastball. Get to the fastball, and you can have a pretty good time. Now, taking a look at some of the metrics here, and it suggests that Kikuchi has had a little bit of good luck. An expected ERA of 4.26, expected batting average of 248, chase rate of only 26.7%, above average whiff rate of 24.9, well below average walk rate, and that's something that Kikuchi has had issues with his entire career. 10.3% of the time he issues a walk, and 10.1% of the time when you put the ball in play, it's a barrel. Hard hit percentage of 42.7. All of those numbers are well below average. The only things, and in terms of average exit velocity, it's well below average, 91.3 miles per hour. He gives up a lot of hard contact, and most of that to the fastball. But he does generate a lot of extension, which makes the breaking ball even more difficult to pick up. And he does strike out 24.4, just under a quarter of the batters he faces. And it's pretty simple. Like I said at the very top, it's about getting to that four-seam fastball. In 2025, hitters are hitting 301 against it, a slugging percentage of 441, and a weighted on base average of 346 with an exit velocity of 93.6 miles per hour. That's not very good. And it's the expected stats are just as bad, right? It's just right in line with everything. Expected weighted on base average, in fact, is considerably worse. The slider, however, now some luck here, but the slider can be a really difficult pitch, and the curveball can be a really, Really difficult pitch. He has thrown his slider more than his curveball. And this could be a designation thing. Let's be clear about that. But he throws his slider more than any other pitch, 36.7% of the time. And hitters are hitting 241 against it with a 424 slugging percentage, which isn't great. It's not, an abhorrent pitch by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a pitch that you can get to. And a whiff rate of 24% is good. Not great, good. Four-seam fastball, by the way, he has a -5 run value. With the slider, it's a +4. The curveball's been the big development here, and he's not throwing it nearly as often as the slider, as mentioned. But hitters are only hitting 187 on the pitch. They're swinging and missing 28.9% of the time. It's a put-away pitch 21.4% of the time. And the expected stats are better. There's an expected slugging here of 272, an expected batting average of 182 compared to that 187. Changeup's pretty good as well, hitting 230 with a 311 slugging percentage there, weighted on base average of 242. They'll also show a sinker and a sweeper that just have very, very few stats, so it's really not mentioning. But he'll throw the kitchen sink. He'll throw the kitchen sink for sure. But the key is to get to that fastball. And when you get it, you got to hit it. Because he can put you away with the slider, and he can definitely put you away with the curveball. Let's take a look at what the Seattle Mariners lineup is tonight. I imagine we're going to see the usual lefty lineup, but, every once in a while they like to turn things around. By the way, while I'm pulling that up, interesting that they send down send down Brennan Garcia and call up Jackson Kowar. I think it's the right call because you want more right-handers in this lineup. You want more righties than lefties, I think, because most of the damage is going to be done by hitters from the right side. And yep, it is your usual lefty lineup. We have J.P. Crawford leading off, Julio Rodriguez in center, Cal Raleigh hitting third at backstop, at catcher, Randy Rosarina hitting fourth, Mitch Garver hitting fifth, Jorge Polanco hitting sixth, so a little bit of a switch there. Nice to see Polanco in the lineup against a lefty. Donovan Solano playing first base, Dylan Moore playing right field, and Ben Williamson hitting ninth. I'm sorry, I'm trying to hold my contempt here, but just watching Dylan Moore right now is so hard. And I'm starting to feel bad for him. I'm starting to feel really bad for him. And I'm feeling bad for fans of Dylan Moore because this can't be fun. And I know there's a lot of people who just love Dylan Moore. He's one of the more popular players in the fan base. That's quickly changing, but I get it. Likeable dude, hustles, scrappy, and has had success. He can't continue to be this bad. But that is more a damning complaint about how terrible he's been than compliment to what I think he can be. The bullpen for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, because you guys asked me to go over it. It's not great. They have a good closer in Kenley Jansen. He's no longer the same guy that he once was. But Reed Detmers is not exactly a shutdown reliever. I think the decision to move him to relief was the right one, and he can miss bats. Just doesn't have the command to really be so weird too, because Reed Detmers was drafted as a high floor left-hander, and now he's a volatile reliever. Baseball's so weird. Ryan Zeverjon, Brock Burke. There's probably people I'm missing right now. It's not a good bullpen. It's not a good pitching staff. It's just not a good pitching staff. The fact that they're only 4 games under 500 with these guys, I think is a real compliment to Ron Washington and a compliment to the lineup as well. And, there's some decent starters here. Tyler Anderson got off to a really nice start and now has struggled. Wonder if he'd be someone Seattle be interested in at the deadline if they decide to sell. They should sell, by the way. Just looking for other relievers here that are of any interest whatsoever. Nah. It's bad bullpen. It's bad pitching staff. You should score runs. If you do not score runs in this series, I am very, 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 very concerned. And I will be until they score like 36 runs against a really good baseball team, which is just what they do. I don't get this baseball team. What I do get is that you should go to Simply Seattle and subscribe. Subscribe. You should subscribe to me, but then you should subscribe with your money and buy a bunch of stuff from them, and then save 15% off of them using Mollywop15. There's a link in the description. That was terrible. That was absolutely terrible. But please hit like and subscribe for me. I'd really appreciate it. This is a 15-minute video. That's ridiculous. No, goodbye.